gotta take the food off the tray, and it is extremely dry and crumbly. You want to do this with utensils or your hands, but I would recommend gloves. Okay. And fill up a few ziploc bags rather quickly. You don't want this stuff sitting around for half an hour. And put in whatever you want for your portion to be vacuum sealed later. Also in a few minutes. You don't want the stuff sitting around too long because it will absorb moisture. But see, by using the heater to defrost the pans, all of this stuff comes out warm and doesn't absorb moisture instantaneously, which it will do when it's cold. So if you're in a cold cycle, it's going to absorb all the moisture in the air and start gathering up frost on it. You don't want that, so you want that warm cycle right before you take it out. Okay. Alright. Hamburger, same way. Dump it out into a tray so that you don't lose it. And bag it up. Use a scoop, however you want to get it in. Decide what you're going to use for an amount. That's about what I would call a pretty good size. Get it sealed up right away. Get it out of the air. Okay, this is what I got out of one load in the freeze dryer of hamburger. There were, I think, 6 pounds of hamburger and about 5 cans of chicken. And it is bone dry, light as a feather, and ready to go for vacuum sealing. And when I vacuum seal, I take the bags and I'll poke a needle right through the bag. I always do it in the same spot in case I want to tape them. And I'll put a little pinhole with a needle and fold it over, put it in my vacuum sealer bag, and then go ahead and vacuum seal it with it closed and zipped, and it'll draw the air out and protect this. Then when I take it out, if I need to use only half of it, I can tape the hole shut and keep it fresh someday in the future. But for right now, this is a lot of hamburger. Okay, I always double seal the bottom and make sure that you have plenty left over up here to get this seal in, because you have a distance here that you got to worry about. So I'm not going to put too many in a zip or in a vacuum seal bag, because if any of these go bad, I don't want to lose a lot. So I'll put 2 in, but I'm not going to put a whole bunch in, even though they would fit, because sometimes these leak, especially after a couple of years, they might leak and you'd have a whole pile of it bad. It's better to have 2 bags go bad than 5. So that's why I do it that way. But like I said, you got to put a pinhole in here and just take a needle and poke through, and that way when you draw the air out of that bag, it doesn't take chicken with it, doesn't take dust with it. It's great for doing flour and mashed potatoes and stuff like that, potato flakes, anything powdery, because all the stuff will stay in there and it'll just draw the air out. It's a good way to keep your vacuum sealer from getting full of dust. Okay, you can see how the bag looks. I always put the embossed side down. Seems to work better when you go to seal it. It seems to seal better. And I have my vacuum sealer modified, and there's a switch on here so that I can bypass the sensor for vacuum. So what'll happen is I'll pull a vacuum, and if I don't have all the air out of the bag, sometimes this thing will just automatically switch over and start sealing. Well, I might not like that, so I put a bypass in it so I can stop that from happening until I decide that all the air is out of the bags. So you'll see me switch it here. See, right now it would probably switch, but there's still a lot of air left in this bag, especially because the pinhole kind of small, but it's still not sealing. Not till I feel like I've got all the air out. Alright, now watch. See? Red light changed over. Now it's sealing. Then when the light goes out, I wait to the count of 5 and then open it up. Pull it back and seal it again. Put a second seal on it. So that way it's double sealed at both ends, and I have a lot less losses that way. Something that you have to do, absolutely, is mark it. And make sure that you mark it well, because that looks like turkey, chicken, tuna, never know. Mark it well. Okay, I put a pinhole in here to draw the air out, and it's important that you don't leave it up in the bag, because there's a smooth side and an embossed side. Alright, if you leave it with this, the hole up, the smooth side sometimes seals that hole and you can't get the air out. If you turn it upside down, put it in there on the embossed side, now when the air gets drawn out of it, it'll come up through the little cracks and stuff. So that's important. Okay, here's all the food that I just did, vacuum sealed, and total weight with the bags and everything is 2.5 pounds. Alright, each single can of chicken is 3/4 of a pound, so big weight savings. Alright, now what you do is you set these out, put them in a bag, set them aside somewhere overnight, and check them in 24 hours to make sure that they stayed sealed. Usually, if they stay sealed for 24 hours, they're good to go. Sometimes they leak, and best way to keep them from leaking is to keep oils from your fingers and stuff like that. Any liquids, keep it out of where it's going to go and seal. So as long as you keep it clean and dry, it usually works pretty good. Like I said, I double seal both ends, and good luck. One more trick, I always seal the end of my roll that I'm going to use next time while it's hot from using it, so that when I go to do my first seal next time, I already have this seal on here, and I'll move it up a little bit, and for the first thing I'll go ahead and put a second seal on here when it's cold. Okay, this seems to help having that seal on there, because if I go to take it out of the box, put it up there and put it on, I get a cold iron, and it doesn't seem to want to seal as good as it does once it's a little bit warm. Almost, you know, warm to the touch. Seems to work a lot better. So I always seal it up, then put it away for next time, and I got one seal done already that's in good shape.